We'll pass it on back to the studio.
All right, so congratulations to Warlords of the Deep over Pandemic Blues in match one. So I'm gonna go right to Elendar and Seldarine. What did you guys think of that match?
Surprising
Well,
how quick that protest dropped, I'd say. I was expecting it to tank a little bit longer. Interesting choice for Osprey as the first target for PL as well. He dropped very quickly, but it looked like he was so far away he wasn't actually in rep range for quite a significant period.
yeah, when the match started, we basically all called it for PL on this one because Dominic's is really, really powerful with the new boosts to its sentry drones and drones. So when we saw the teams, we basically called it for PL, but it was a really surprising result there. I think a lot of it came down to the fantastic use of dampening from the Warlords team.
I think we probably underestimated the impact of the bombers as well, because when PL went for Hurricanes first, they were taking out a fair chunk of damage, but the bombers were probably actually doing more damage than the Hurricanes, so it taking a long time to kill.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time they were focusing on the bigger ships while the bombers were just sitting there plunking away, doing consistent damage.
That's a problem with the tech-free setup as well for reps. The PL frigates can't really move away from reps to chase those bombers around. So if they do, they're immediately out of rep range, and then the Hurricanes that can just pick them off very quickly.
And what about you, Elise? I heard a comment in there, mistakes were made. What did you mean when you said that?
Oh no, just on the stream, it looked like one of the Dominics is kind of just vanished. So it seemed like a boundary might have been violated, but no, it didn't happen. I'm surprised at the outcome of this match, actually. It was basically very conservative, as we kind of expected. Warlords of the Deep took just a standard Minmatar rush, essentially adding a few bombers in there. They took the carries for dams. Obviously, the Mollusk kind of probably pushed their hand a little bit, the Mollusk ban. And yeah, I mean, just a two-stage sort of thing. Like, quite surprised. But it'll be interesting. I would definitely think now the PL Blues is going to take a more little risky setup, be a little bit more aggressive with their bans, and the second match I fully expect to be probably the best one of the first half of the tournament.
Yeah, I certainly
Warlords.
expect them to change it up. Oh, sorry, would you?
No, sorry. I was saying, yeah, they're going to need an ace in the hole now if they don't want to go out the tournament. But what I was really pleased to see was that we saw two very unique teams that we've not really seen before in the tournament. It means our changes to the rules and the new ship changes and new ships into the game are really going to mix things up for tournament PvP.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I called it just a standard Minmatar rush with some dams and bombers, but there's nothing really standard about a Minmatar rush with bombers. Like that's sort of a new thing that people have been throwing in, or theory crafters have been throwing in to deal with the threat of the new battleships, because bombers, of course, are really great at applying deeps towards battleships. And when you boost all these battleships, it's such a huge question mark at which battleship's going to be the best, how are they going to work together, and all that stuff. So the bombers are definitely a smart choice, definitely a good addition. And just thinking about the bans, the PL team didn't seem to be affected by the bans at all, and I think only the Mollusk really changed the ban up a little bit. I would imagine I'd have to double check the points, but imagine the Warlords of Deep wanted to do a Tech 2 Logi, like an ASB Scimitar or something, and 2 Molluses, but had to trade that for an Osprey and boost up the Molluses to carries. I don't know, just a guess.
It's possible. It does look like that was a setup they certainly wanted to run and decided to run anyway. And we haven't seen much use of those Tech 2 damping freaks. There's not a massive bonus for the points really for taking them in a setup like that. So it's quite possible Elise is right and it was just a quick swap in for that Logi. Again, quite surprised those Hurricanes certainly seem to last a long time against the Dominixes.
Yeah, they did. And Elise, what's your opinion on the use of those Navy Hurricanes for 1 extra point than the standard Hurricanes?
Well, it's huge. I mean, as you can see, it looked like they were detanked a little bit. They get a lot more HP, a lot more utility highs, a little bit more power grid to play around with. I think it was definitely a good choice. And I don't know, they're probably better than the Cyclone. I don't know. They might be better than the Cyclone. I mean, obviously they have more HP than the Cyclone. I would personally have probably changed it around a little bit, maybe taken Cyclones instead. And boosted my Logi a little bit. Who knows?
And I think the Hurricanes are quite good. Certainly the extra 2 newts on them as well might have affected that approaches quite a bit, depending on how the Dominixes were set up.
Yeah, for those that aren't aware, the new Navy Hurricane is essentially like the old Hurricane, power grid wise, so you can fit all that good stuff that you're accustomed to fitting. And it has a little bit more HP, well, significant amount of extra HP, and it doesn't have Tech 2 resist or anything, but it's still quite beefy.
They also have camouflage as well, so they're harder to see for the enemy team.
Yeah, exactly. There was probably a tracking issue with the drones because they're just not used to seeing the new ships there.
So, do you think we'll be seeing more of these naval and fleet issue battle cruisers instead of their standard counterparts?
I think that's definitely likely, yeah. I quite like the new Brutix as well. Again, it's quite tough, it's got a pretty decent power grid layout. The extra low slot as well makes it quite nice. If we're seeing some rush teams, I wouldn't be too surprised to see that in there. But certainly the Navy Hurricane is quite strong, being pretty much the old Hurricane, but with the new Navy hit points. So as you see there, although the Hurricanes are in close, they're traditionally a fairly weak ship when we're set up for high damage. They lasted quite a long time, even against the 2 Dominixes.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, for the percentage increase in points, which is just 1 point above 12, you get a lot of value with all those extra hit points for a start. And then you've got the extra slot layout and extra possibilities with those Navy ships.
Now,
I think it's
interestingly
interesting we've
enough,
seen bombers as well in the first match as well. It means we might see quite a lot of bombers, I think, as we go further into a tournament. I'd be curious to know if they actually had bombs fit to those bombers and were just holding off because they didn't think we needed to use them, or the bombers just weren't fit up with them at all.
Yeah, the bomb launcher is kind of hard to squeeze on there when you want a little bit of a tank and some damps and stuff like that, which they were clearly running. So I expect they didn't really have a bomb launcher, and if they did, we probably would have seen them trying to bomb the the guards off of the dummies.
I don't think 2 bombs is enough to kill the sentries, at least not the Tech 2s off the dummies, although it probably would have wiped, if not killed before it gets dropped them low enough, they'd have dropped pretty fast.
Yeah, that might have also been confusing. Though, I mean, if to drop the bombs, it'd have to be in pretty close. I don't know, danger close. So who
I mean,
knows?
they were getting in fairly close, but it did look like they were staying far enough out. They were probably outside of locker range of most of the PR ships.
Now we do have our bans for the next match coming up, and but before we get to that, just a couple things. We are doing a format change, so we are doing alternating matches. So rather than Warlords of the Deep and Pandemic Blues doing their next match, Reputation Cartel and Guiding Hand Social Club will have their match. Also, a quick thank you to all of our sponsors, CCP Games, Lorkin Desal, and of course, SomerBlink, who is sponsoring our trivia. Just one more reminder about our trivia question. The question is, what are the names of the 4 Doomsday devices used on Titans? And this trivia question is a little long, so you're going to have to send a 0.01 is twice to Miss Loot Gods, who is in the SCL Space chat channel. Be sure to join that channel so you can join in for all of the fun trivia giveaways sponsored by SomerBlink. And the prize for this trivia question is a Crewer. So the bans for Reputation Cartel versus Guiding Hand Social Club. Reputation Cartel has banned the Proteus and the Legion. Guiding Hand Social Club has banned the Mollusk and the Griffin. So what do you guys think about those bans?
It's pretty interesting. It looks like Reputation Cartel is scared of the other Tinker that Warlords of the Deep were afraid of. So Warlords of the Deep banned the Shield Tinker Lodges, and Reputation Cartel banned the Armor Tinker Lodges. I guess maybe forcing Guiding Hand Social Club into taking more of a shield-based team. And Guiding Hand Social Club kicking out the Griffin. Curious choice. The Mollusk, a really great ship to ban because it's so powerful with the current meta. The dams are just so strong. And since you can only have 2 of each ship, taking out the Mollusk really does make it so dam teams are much harder to field.
But at the
So
same
that's
time, we've seen unbonus damps being run a lot on loads of different teams. So it's quite often we've seen damp teams without any bonus damps on them at all. So while they are useful, they're certainly a very good ship. Don't think it really limits the damping potential very much. All we've got to do is throw some in the middle slots of some bombers, throw some in the middle slots of some frigates, and you've pretty much got yourself a very effective damping team already there. Especially
Yeah,
now the free
sure,
change to
sure.
the 3 points for the EWA frigs make them slightly more expensive to bring, so it's a bit more of a sacrifice to put the damps on those dedicated ships.
I mean, you get like 65% jammers or damps, so they're huge, huge, huge. But yeah, certainly. I mean, obviously on the team we just saw, the Warlords of the Deep team, they had damps on their bombers that were quite effective.
Yeah, that
they're
damping team certainly
interesting
seemed
damps
to
for
work well
sure.
there. It looked like the PL guys were committed to killing those Hurricanes, and I guess Shadoov or whoever was FCing it didn't feel they could take the drones off the Hurricanes for long enough to chase those bombers down. And as you saw, one of the Canes was able to kite out of range and survive simply because he burnt out, so catching a bomber might have been quite tricky. And that time might have certainly cost them the rate they were dropping.
As far as this next match comes up, these are also 2 pretty good tournament teams. I mean, following up Warlords of the Deep and Pandemic Blues is kind of hard to do, but these guys are definitely no scrubs. They have experience in the tournament and in SCL. So I think they're also going to try and be a little bit conservative on this one. I don't think we're going to see. I mean,
I
Tyrex
think
is
this
involved.
match is going to come down to piloting. I think very much sure it's going to come down to how they can pilot these setups looking at them.
Oh, I don't get to see them yet, so I'm on the edge of
It
my
may
seat.
also it may also have come down to warping angles because this is quite an unlucky warping angle potentially for one of these teams.
I
Well,
think you're right. I think one of them's coming quite conservative, and one of them certainly hasn't, and will have to
okay.
fly. If they fly it well, they've got it, but could very easily mess this up.
So I'm guessing, just hearing that, I didn't get to see anything, but I'm guessing Tyrex took a crazy setup with the Cunningham Social Club team.
Tyrex's setup is certainly interesting. I have to say I don't particularly like it. It could work, but it's not the sort of setup I particularly like.
Well,
would say-
let us not keep our listeners in suspense. Oh, I cut Seldarine off. I'll let you finish.
I would just think Tyrex has taken the 2-ship rule to heart with this team, but I'll let you go.
All right. Well, I didn't want to cut you off, but I don't want to leave our listeners in suspense. The teams are ready to go on the field. Bob Shafto's captain for Reputation Cartel, Tyrex Lork, captain of Guiding Hand Social Club team. It is going to be a fantastic match, and I'm going to throw it over to our fantastic commentary team, Bacchanalian and Apathetic Brent. So enjoy the match.
We are here for